Now, after having studied the concept of wants, now let us understand what is the concept of utility. Professor Kenneth Boulding had said that, let us compare utility. For explaining the term utility, he compared it with a producer instead of, taking the example of a consumer, because he wanted to explain the concept with reference to a consumer. But he went ahead to a producer and he actually described what activities a producer undertakes. He said that producer undertakes various types of activities which include utilizing the services of land, labor, capital and enterprise and remunerating them for those services and converting the services of these factors of production into one particular product or one particular service. So that physical product or physical service, intangible service, physical product or intangible service which gets created as a result of these factors of production, that is the main aim of production. The purpose of production is creation of that product, or the result of production is the creation of that particular product. The same type of psychological product which gets created in the minds of consumer is utility. That is what Kenneth Boulding has said. He said that the psychological product of the entire exercise which a consumer does, that is, he buys food, he buys shelter, he buys clothing, he buys education, he buys healthcare, etc., etc. And after consuming that, the psychological product that he gets, or the bearing that he has in his mind before buying these necessities of life, or these necessities, comforts or luxuries of life, that is utility. So in very simple terms, utility is the want satisfying power of a commodity. Suppose in the case of, I take the example of water. If the commodity is water, the ability of water to satisfy my thirst, which is actually a need, not even a want. Thirst is the utility of water. Or the ability of water to clean my body is the utility of water. Or the ability of water to add a watery flavor to my food is the ability of water. So these are the various utilities of water. That is the want satisfying power of a commodity. I have various types of wants. I have a want of thirst, I have a want of cleaning my body, I have a want of food, and water satisfies each types of want. But utility is different from useful. Utility is different from the product itself. Utility is a psychological product, but utility is not the product that we are talking of. Is water the want satisfying power? No. Water has a want satisfying power for satisfying my thirst, and that power is utility. Utility is different from the product. The ability of water to satisfy my thirst and water are two different things. So utility is different from the product. Utility is different from usefulness, definitely. If you take the example of liquor, a liquor will definitely, be having utility to a person who is a drunkard. But is it going to be useful to his life, or is it going to be useful to his health? No. Is tobacco going to be useful to him, although it is going to have utility? In today's times, the question is, this question of usefulness of tobacco is another debatable question in today's days. But ideally, tobacco is not going to be useful. It is going to be harmful to his health. But it would be having utility to him because he is a person who has been addicted to tobacco. So it is different from usefulness. So very importantly, the moral aspect or normative aspect of economics is not going to be considered. We are only going to be concerned with positive economics. That is, we are not going to go into moral or legal issues as far as utility is concerned. Utility is different from satisfaction. Satisfaction is the thing which you will experience after consumption. After consumption of the product, the feeling that you will get is satisfaction. Whereas utility is the same feeling, but that feeling you have before consumption of the product. That is a major difference between utility and satisfaction. You feel that a particular commodity can give me satisfaction, and that's why you purchase that product. Water can satisfy my thirst, and that's why you have water, or that's why you demand water. Another important angle to this is that utility can be measured, satisfaction cannot be measured. And ideally, utility also cannot be measured, but from the point of view of Marshallian analysis by Dr. Marshall, utility can be measured. Another point of distinction is that you may not derive same level of satisfaction based on the utility that you had in your mind, because utility is something which is expected of that particular product and satisfaction is something which is realized. So you may feel that probably a cool glass of water can make you cool and can make you, can help you to reduce all your worries and tensions. You could have such thing in your mind. A glass of cold water, probably. That was the utility of that glass of cold water, but probably that didn't give you that kind of satisfaction. You were still disturbed and you were still, your temper was at your peak. Something like that. Utility is different from satisfaction. Utility forms the basis of consumer behavior theory. Whatever we would be analyzing in consumer behavior chapter, everything would be based on utility. So utility is going to be extremely important as far as this entire chapter is concerned.